Hey there, seekers of spiritual, tangible results.
Welcome to the no-nonsense zone, where common sense meets the spiritual. I'm Jason Parks.
I'm Emma Romano, your unapologetically real spiritual guides.
We don't sugarcoat, we don't dance around the woo-woo, we just deliver the raw, kick-ass truth.
Join us each episode as we dive deep into the mystical, cut through the bullshit, and show you how to manifest the tangible results you've been craving for.
No fluff, no filters, just two mentors on a mission to elevate your mind, body and soul.
Get ready to transform your life like never before. This is Soul Aligned Results, where spirituality meets the real world. Welcome everybody, this is Emma Romano and...
Jason Parks.
Woohoo! We are here. We're talking about tithing today. How important tithing. I'd actually never heard of this word, and probably until about 6 years ago. I didn't know what tithing was. And I use tithing all the time and it works. It's like this universal law around tithing. It's incredible. And we're going to help you with it. Do you want to explain what tithing is, Jason?
Yeah. So, no worries. It's early in the morning here, everyone.
It is. And I'm drinking a ceremonial cacao, so anything could happen.
Anything could happen indeed. Yeah. So what tithing is, it's a term that's been taken up in a lot of modern religious organizations as an explanation of why they charge their members, their congregation, X amount of dollars in order for them to continue the work of the church, to support the church. Now, in itself, that's not a problem. That's just an agreement that people have. So one of the things about it, though, is it's not necessarily accurate to what the principle is as a spiritual principle. So what happens in modern interpretations of tithing is that, okay, if you belong to a church, then you pay X amount. And some of these churches, they charge significant amounts of money. So they're taking a percentage of your pre-tax income.
Wow.
Which is a nice way of hiding how much money they're actually taking from you. So you need to, because you get, say you get $100, if you pay 30% tax, then you're only getting $70. Now, if they're taxing you on the $100,
but they're taxing you on the $100.
They're getting the 30% as well. So, which is not
I did not know that. Okay.
The premise that's supposed to be built, a relationship that's supposed to be built around honesty and trust. So tithing in the modern sense is a bit of a weird one. However, for most people, their church is a significant outlet socially, and they find value from their teachings, and therefore it's an investment. If you want something to continue, you should invest money in it. That's the way the money works. So the original principle of tithing, as we see it as a spiritual principle, is actually about investing in what you want to see exist in the world.
Say that again. You invest in what you want to see in the world. Okay.
That's exactly. So if you've decided that you want a life in which you are surrounded by businesses that treat people in an ethical manner, that you want people who are good to work with, who are kind, who work within their communities, if these are important to you, then really that's where you should be spending your dollars. And it's not just, what church do I commit to? It's like, no, where do I spend all my dollars? That if I go to a baker and there's two bakeries in town and one of them's got shitty customer service and not particularly pleasant and the quality's not great, and another one is doing a really good job, said I should be supporting the one with a really good job. It is a fundamental of the economic model, that the buyer has the actual power, the power of the dollar. And it's something that we are constantly turned away from. If we don't like the way that a business does business, then we shouldn't be giving money to it, because then they get the feedback that this is not okay. And it's a big difference between, I was talking to an American friend of mine the other day about it and saying, like, in Australia, we say that we vote with our feet. So if Australians go into you go into a restaurant, you don't like the service, you just don't go back again.
That's right.
But that's it. So, but I like the American approach. An American will tell them this is not okay. You're my local restaurant. I want to eat here. You need to lift your game.
I love that.
So it's all about the provider needing to lift their game. So I think in that the Americans have an advantage. It's an important part of it. But tithing really is about, if I want to think about, like, whatever I give energy to, I add mass to, and the more mass, the more real, more
Mm-hmm.
tangible.
Mm-hmm.
So um, if I want to have certain projects exist, if I want to have certain technologies exist, then I should be investing money in that in some way. If I don't like the way my supermarket has got rid of all of its staff and has put on machines that now make me do the work,
Mm.
if I don't like that, then I should be reducing the amount of spending that I'm doing at that supermarket, because it's giving them feedback that their current model isn't cutting it.
Yeah, it isn't working. Yeah.
Yeah, which is part of tithing. So, yeah.
All right. So with the tithing, I'm going to give you all a really personal experience of where Jason and I did tithing.
Yeah.
So our very first retreat that we did was in the high country in Victoria in March. Now we had space for 12 people. We sold those 12 spots within 72 hours. We actually we hadn't even written up, we didn't have a website. We didn't have a brochure. We had nothing. I just put a Facebook page up saying, my mentor, Jason, and I, and Jack, my son, we're collaborating. We're going to run a full-blown abundance spiritual retreat. These are the dates. People didn't even ask me what
That's right.
happens? What's it about? Like, what are we doing? Nothing. They just went, I'm in. And I said, early bird is $3,000 each. We got paid up front in those first 72 hours. Like I've never seen anything like it. Never. Usually there's people who want payment plans and there's all kinds of stuff. This is where the tithing comes in, and this is why it works so quickly for us and so well for us. We were in a place called Ilden in Victoria, and it's the most beautiful place. And the little town there literally has about 8 shops. There's like a bakery, a cafe, a supermarket, a post office. What else is there? There's a little bookshop. There is a hairdresser's, I think a fish and chip shop, and an op shop, right? Opportunity shop. And what we did was we got it catered for, all that, but we got it catered for from a local person. And the local girl from Thornton General Store, she's amazing. Every ingredient was sourced from local farms. So not only were we offering money to this local woman, so it was all local, she was supporting the local people as well. And we also bought a little gift for all the participants. It was this beautiful crystal on a heart. And I got it from the market like 2 weekends beforehand in another town very close by. And I bought these 12 pendants, and she sold out. Like I bought all her pendants that she had. And she said, oh my God, thank you so much. You've just paid for my spot here for next time. So this is the tithing. So when you're doing tithing and you're doing it for the greater good, it comes back to you 3 times, if not more. Like it is a universal law. What you give out, you get back. And it was all perfect. It was this perfect, just this amazing group of women, most beautiful house, the most amazing food. Everything was just perfect because we implemented tithing in our retreat so well. Do you have anything that you could offer to our listeners about where they could be doing tithing and then receiving back as well?
I think it really is a point of focus. So it's about how you think about it is really
Mm-hmm.
important. How you think, how you feel, how you act. It's those fundamentals again. So one of the things about it is the flow on. The flow on is huge.
Yeah.
So it was just even from the fact that everybody paid straight up
Mm.
on that retreat. Well, what that meant for me personally is that my eldest daughter has some significant things going on that she's dealing with.
Mhm.
And she got ill. She injured herself and got ill. And it meant a change in my family dynamics. So what we really needed to do was for my wife to step out of a job and to be able to really invest in that wealth in the house, that humanistic wealth, the ability for all of us to thrive, which is what she wanted to do. Now,
Mhm.
the beautiful thing about it was with everybody paying so quickly, it meant that that money was there. I actually got paid very quickly, and it meant that over that next sort of 3 month period, where would have been a quiet point where I was on holidays over Christmas,
Mm.
it was like, well, actually, it's not quiet. Said all that money's there. We had that stability. So
Mhm.
my wife was able to step out of a job. Um, my daughter got the care she needed. The rest of the family got that. It was a huge difference in the quality of our home and what it did,
Mm.
which meant that when I turned up to work with everybody, said I'm there in a point of absolute gratitude because it's like
Mhm.
you guys got no idea just how much positivity has come out of just something as simple as you investing now. So that
Yeah.
to yeah, it's a big deal. So one of the big things about it is if you want to change your tithing, first of all, change your view about your bills.
Yes, this is huge. I love that you're saying this. Yes,
Yeah,
go on.
be-
Yep.
because bills are really there should be a bit of a joy in paying for bills.
Mm-hmm.
So if you've got to pay your power bill, that's fantastic. That means you've had use of electricity. All those things that you use electricity for, you've got to use. You don't have to maintain any of the technology. You don't have to upgrade it. You don't have to keep the power lines up and running. If there's a
Mm-hmm.
storm knocked out a transformer, well, within a couple of hours, a whole team of people have turned up and fixed it. And in most cases, and it's it's like you have the advantage of that. If you're
Mm-hmm.
paying your rent or you're paying your mortgage, it's because you have the advantage of having a home. So if
That's
you're,
right.
it's all of those things. So first of all, change your attitude about your bills. When you get a bill, don't look at it as a negative thing. Look at it as the opportunity for you to invest in more of what you want in the world.
Do you
So
know
it's a
how I look at
gratitude.
bills? I look at bills, and this, I really hope this helps listeners because I had to come around this. I was very entitled around bills. So, you know, when you're going for the mortgage and you want the mortgage because you want the house, and you're like, yes, I can't wait to get this mortgage. This mortgage is going to be great. We're going to get the house, and you get the house. And then 6 months down the track, you start getting shitty about paying back the money that you borrowed from a bank.
That's right.
You know, you become very entitled, like they should just give it to me free.
Yeah, that's right.
and forget that the bank's actually a business. So I find all my bills, all of that is I put it under the banner of support.
Yeah,
So the electricity, my electricity bill supports me in being able to be in a house that's warm, or I can cool it down. I can watch TV. I can put Zoom on. I can see clients here. It's supporting me, and I'm happy to pay for someone supporting me.
yeah,
And it's the same as the mortgage. I love paying my mortgage because it's support. That mortgage supports me. If I had to have saved up that money for this house, I'd still be like saving. I wouldn't be in my house.
that's right.
And this
Yeah,
house that I'm in now is like literally has a temple in it of healing because I run retreats and I see clients in here. It's a temple. It's beautiful. And that's how I look at it. It's support. I took out the entitled section of me going, why should I have to pay for my phone bill? Because you're using the phone bill, bitch. That's why. Like, if you're ringing someone, you got to pay for it. Go figure. And then as
yeah,
soon as I stopped being entitled, and it's almost like I had a death grip around, well, I don't want to pay it. Well, someone's got to pay it. You're using it. So who else is going to pay it? And as soon as I let go of that entitlement and went, hang on, it's not a bill, it's actually supporting me in what I need to do. It's supporting me in my fun. It's supporting me in my love life. It's supporting me in my motherhood. It's supporting me in being a wife. It's supporting me in being a businesswoman, supporting me in being a healer, coach, whatever. It's supporting me. So I look at it, yeah, I'll pay for support anytime. It's like paying my assistant. I'm not going to get Shayla to do all this work. Go, no, not paying you, dolls. You know, she's a support. So
yeah.
maybe if for our listeners, I would love to hear if you just change that bills to, oh, look, we just got to pay for our support. I wonder what will change for you, because when I look at it that way, it's a frequency, it's an energy of gratitude. So what happens is universe, and will then, it's called supply and demand.
Yeah.
And it gets more money gets supplied. The more I demand, it gets supplied, because then it's in demand. There's my support. For me to keep going, I need to pay my support crew, which is my electricity, my gas, my home, my whatever, my rates and all that. That's my support crew. It's almost like my employees.
That's right.
Because they work for me, and I have
Yeah.
to pay my employees, right?
Yeah.
And it just changes the whole dynamic around wealth. And I would just love people to experience and experiment with that for 3 months. Maybe make it 4, like really experiment with 4 for 4 months, and just see how different life is, and see how easier your nervous system becomes, how more relaxed it becomes, and see how much more abundance actually flows in. It's a pretty cool experiment.
It is. It's actually the bridge between haves and have-nots.
Mm-hmm.
To be blunt, it is the bridge. Because what happens is the difference between people that have money and people that are struggling with money is what they spend it on.
Mm-hmm.
That's the fundamental difference. So everything that you succeed with in life is really based on 2 principles: consistency and compounding. So compounding is where you're using a principle properly and that you're sticking with it. The consistency is that you are doing it time and time again. So if your fundamental principle is one of consumption, where money goes in, money goes out, money goes in, money goes out, but there's no thought to it,
Mm-hmm.
then that's what you're buying. You're buying a thoughtless dissolving of your resources. Even if nothing
Interesting.
has changed for you, it's not like you're buying shares and stocks and real estate and all that, saying, oh, well, that's what rich people do. So yeah, they do, but it's an extension. The fundamental is this idea, is that they start to look at, when money comes to them, they start to think that, well, that money is actually building a quality of life. So I
Yep.
buy the things that, I mean, because rich people spend money too. They still eat. They still need toilet paper. They still
They
do
still
all those
shit
things.
people. They still
Yeah,
shit.
they still do. And it's important because we forget that. People talk. You often hear people talk about being wealthy, and they talk about like none of that happens. They talk about like when they get up in the morning, all they do is buy shares, and it's like, no, you don't. Part of what you spend money on is in financial investments. But not all of those are assets. Some of those are liabilities. So it's a lot more complicated than it looks, but in its fundamental, because we're not financial advisors, we're spiritual advisors. So
Yep.
the fundamental of that is this concept. If you look at what's happening and how you spend your money as support and building gratitude in your life, so you watch the difference in the flow and your appreciation of the flow.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to hear from the listeners, because this is what we're about. I mean, isn't it exciting? Like, I'm not kidding. I am not a financial advisor at all. Yeah, absolute freaking opposite. But I do know how the universe works. And I work with universal laws to increase my wealth.
Yeah.
And it works.
It
Just
does.
works. You go into gratitude for everything and anything and look at something in a different way. It's so much better. I'll give you another example, right? So I bought this. So I've got this cabin that I bought, and it's in like it's like a holiday center place. I'm trying to explain it for the
Like
Americans
a
as well.
caravan park.
Yeah, but yeah. And it's got annuals. So people got cabins on one side, and then you can camp up the other side. And every year you got to pay $4.5 grand to sort of, you buy the cabins, like the cabin's like $77,000. It's yours. But every year you got to pay $4.5 grand. And people are in uproar around, why are we paying $4.5 grand when we've already bought this cabin? I went, we have access to a pool, a tennis court, a mini golf, We have access to a lake. We're on lakefront, Pondage it is. We have access to fishing. We have access to a basketball court, table tennis, also their camp kitchens. We have access to all their games, like you don't have to pay for tennis rackets or anything like that. I'm not testing the pH levels in a pool. I'm not putting chlorine in there. I'm not even pulling a leaf out of there, but someone has to. So we're paying their wages. And if I own this in my own house, believe me, it would be a whole lot more than $4.5 grand. It would be probably more like $80,000 a year, you know, hiring a gardener, hiring a pool cleaner, hiring, you know, the tennis court sweeper, whatever it might be. So when I explain this to sort of the locals there, and I'm like, well, actually, it's a really cheap way of getting this opulence, because that's what it is. It's all about opulence. It's a very cheap way. And it's what I feel it's such a cheap way. Like it's what an abundant way to receive a tennis court, a swimming pool. It's a beautiful swimming pool. It's gorgeous. And we go up there with the family and we will spend 2 to 3 hours on that tennis court. And there could be 18 of us just doing round robins. Like we have so much fun. That in itself, just my family coming together is worth $4.5 grand for me. So it's such a bonus that it's only $4.5 grand. And it's amazing when you talk to the locals about the other people in the caravan and you show them that way of looking at it, they go, oh. And all of a sudden they start shutting up and they go, oh, because we've become very entitled.
Yeah.
I think we need to stop becoming entitled about certain things and not giving tithing over to things that don't work. Sure, don't pay for that crap. But when you're given a service like electricity, phone, gas, your mortgage, whatever it might be, pay it. Pay for the support. Because it's going to get you where you want to be. It helps you. It helps you every single day being the version of you that you are today.
Exactly right. Yeah, it's investing in yourself.
It's investing in ourselves, exactly. And if you want to do it via being shitty about it, it's going to be hard. If you want to do it via surrendering and going, yeah, this is great, it's working for me, it's going to be much easier and you'll receive more.
Yeah. And it builds, like being able to see the prosperity that already surrounds you is a fundamental of attracting prosperity.
100%.
If you can't see it, I mean, in Australia, most of the Western world, not all of it, but in Australia in particular, just by virtue of being in Australia, you're already in the top 15% of wealth in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And by one factor, and that factor is you can walk out into your kitchen, you can turn a tap on, put a glass under it, and drink it.
And drink the water.
Yep.
Yep.
85% of the world's population cannot do that.
Mm-hmm.
And even in countries like, you take somewhere like Spain, which is a modern, wealthy, Western country, you can't do that.
Mm.
So the richest person in Spain still can't get a glass of water out of a tap.
There you go.
That's a level of wealth and prosperity that they cannot enjoy. They, sure, they might have the money to bottle it in from Switzerland or somewhere, but it doesn't matter. It's something they have to spend money on beyond the normal. So as a fundamental, and I always think it's a great exercise for people, is just understand you can turn on a tap. So when you go somewhere where you can't, it hits you. You just,
Yeah, and it's so not like when I go to Bali and go, oh shit, I can't clean my teeth with this water.
Yeah.
And it's so I take it for granted because I go, oh crap, I'm about to do it again, or I've done it again.
Yeah.
You know, and you can take for granted that at home I can put that tap on and brush my teeth. You know, in the shower, I can throw my head back and drink the water if I wanted to.
Yeah, that's right.
But there's so many countries you can't. No, just gratitude. Just if you have anybody listening, the quickest way to go into gratitude, if you're sitting there going, I'm broke or like there's no money, just look around the room you're in that right now, because everything in your room once was money. And so we don't ever lose money. We transfer it. It gets transferred into something. Now you might have transferred it into some bullshit like cocaine, alcohol, and gambling. Don't be dickheads, right? Don't be idiots. Don't be a dick about it, but everything's transferable. And I remember, I'm going to tell you this story. This is where it really hit me. And this is the Jason story. So my friend, it was Shayla. Shayla tells everyone about this story. So Shayla's up my best friend, and she's also my assistant. She works with me, and she does all our crewing. She's an incredible woman. Shayla Renee, need to check her out. She's amazing, great coach as well. And she had $3,000 in her bank account. She's a single mom, and she has her own business, right? Like she used to work corporate, finally does coaching full time. She's freaking phenomenal. Been doing it for years. Phenomenal woman. Has 2 kids, and she had $3,000 in her bank account. It was over Christmas, and her car. She was driving from Melbourne to, I think, South Australia, which is like an 8-hour trip, and it's in the stinking hot, right? It's in the middle of summer, like it's stinking hot. And her air conditioning fucked up. And I think something else messed up, like her brakes or something, or she needed tires. She needed something. She needed like $3,000 worth of work on her car. And she was having a session with Jason. Shayla told me this, by the way, not Jason. And she's gone, oh my gosh, she's got off the phone to Jason, goes, Emma, I have to tell you this. It's going to change everything. What? She goes, I've been Jasoned, right? This is how we say it. We've been Jasoned, right? She goes, oh, it just changed. She went into panic because she had this $3,000 and it was for, holidays, and it was kind of her last bit of savings. And she was freaking out. She goes, oh, but I'm going to lose this $3,000. What am I going to do? And Jason goes, hang on a minute. You've got $3,000 in your bank account, but you've got a car that you can't drive with no aircon. How useful is your $3,000 in the bank account? She goes, absolutely useless. And as soon as she paid for her car, I think within a couple of days, she made $5,000.
Yeah. Money's purpose is to be spent in motion.
That's it. And I was like, and it was Jason who said to her, goes, you're not losing the $3,000. It's being transferred into a car that works, aircon that works, tires at work, and brakes at work. That's far more important than looking at 3,000. Like literally you're looking at 4 digits in your bank account on an app.
Yeah.
You're just looking at numbers on an app. It's useless in there unless it's being compounded or going towards something.
Yeah, exactly right.
That's so good. It's so good.
I wanted to add one more point because I did, because that's huge. What you just said there is huge. And but I wanted to add, like I used to work with a lot of homeless people, and particularly people who had been at extreme end of homelessness for decades. And there's a lot of reasons why people go into homelessness. But one of the things that was most interesting was that the people that were chronically homeless, that would not improve, could not improve, all had a singular personality trait. And that singular personality trait was entitlement. They're completely without gratitude. Their entire life was all about how somebody owes them and nothing's their fault. And it's a big deal. Oh, and by the way, if you're an employer, this is an important bit of information. This is gold I'm going to give you now. If you're an employer and you want to know if you've got staff stealing out of your shop, there's a really easy way you can find it. When you start talking to people, within a single sentence, you'll usually hear 2 things. 1, it's not my fault. And 2, I deserve it even if it was. And if any language pattern puts those 2 things together, that's your guarantee of criminality. And I used to see that in some of these people constantly. That was all that would come out of their mouth, is that they're entitled to stuff and nothing's ever their fault.
Yeah.
And their life was just constant drama, usually around criminality. And criminality arises in many cases because we've lost track of our ability to create.
Yes.
Why would I steal from you if I can out-create you? I don't need to try and rip Emma off. We're in business together. Why would I rip her off? Where we can co-create to such a degree that we can actually outbuild anything that we possibly think we could take.
Yeah.
So I can't believe how many mentors who supposedly work with these principles don't understand that principle.
I can tell you, I can name about 8 mentors, which I won't name them.
I know you can, yeah.
I can name 8 mentors just in the last, 4 months who come into my space, learn my programs, and go out and try and teach them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And claim that they're theirs.
Yeah. It's important that we can be inspired by the creations of others.
Exactly.
That's a really important point.
And that's what we're here for. We're here to inspire.
Yeah. So
it's interesting. It's such an it's interesting. Guys, we love doing these podcasts. Please contact us. You'll see us on our website, soulalignedresults.com. We're on Facebook. We're on Instagram. We're even on TikTok, I think. We're on TikTok. Did you know we're on TikTok?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're on TikTok. Maybe I should look at our TikTok. I don't know. But we love doing these for you. Please let us know what you think. Please let us share this. Share. We don't get paid for these. This is just our gift to the world.
This is part of our tithing.
Part of our tithing. So we love you. We thank you. And we'll see you in the next podcast. See you later.